We cannot sit down while we are voted for. We will allow this gross inadequate irresponsibility in the government to be happening.
The chairman of IRS, you were one-time Commissioner for Finance.
Yes.
And you know the way the federal government deals with the state. They deal with the state when it comes to FAC. They only present the document for you. You can't, if you question, you can't be answered. Now, this calls for even division of federal, the office of the Academic Federation into office of the federal government and federation separate. Now, you are now bringing everything together again at revenue. I'm coming at revenue point. Instead of you to collect for federal government different, okay, if you say for federation, we expect you to collect only for federation, not for federal government. So that the federation, the nationals will not have question to ask on federation. But if you are collecting federal government and federation together, I think that is too much, and it's becoming bogus and becoming what we are running away from. We are committing. This is just what I want you to clarify. We don't want you to be taking everything for federation. Thank you.
As everybody said, we haven't read the bill. I only have a small observation. The change of name, Nigeria Revenue Service. Since you're not collecting for the states, you're only still collecting for the federal government. Are you collecting for everybody? Okay, that's what I wanted to understand. So you'll be collecting for the federal government and the state governments.
No, if to answer that question, today I collected VAT. 85% of VAT is to states and local government.
After harmonizing and simplifying all these things, do you have any intention of redistributing, let's say in the case of VAT, the distribution of VAT as it is now? There's nothing like that. Okay. Number two, you must have engaged Federal Ministry of Finance, Federal Ministry of Justice, and this is to avoid what normally obtains when you come to public hearing, and they would come with something else contrary to your thing. So if you guys are not in sync, I think you should go and straighten the kinks before you come to public hearing, because it will take the thing backwards. Do you understand? So this is basically my two questions that
And also, it's supposed to be done in a manner that all the critical stakeholders in this country are supposed to be engaged. Because if we allow these things to happen in Nigeria, and recently, even day before yesterday, a consultant has taken federal government to court and is demanding 542 billion as part of his percentage as a consultant out of 3 billion naira, 3-point-something billion. This is taxpayers' money. We cannot sit down while we are voted for. We will allow this gross inadequate irresponsibility in the government to be happening. So that is why posterity will not allow us to be there. We are voted for. Mr. Chairman, let this bill look into by the set of committee before it goes, because it will not see the light of the day.
But it seems to me, listening to the chairman's presentation, that these bills are not, you are not introducing fresh taxes by these bills. Yes, I think that should be clear. I don't think you were clear enough on that point, which I think was what informed my good friend Senator Danbuche's comments.
You need to continue briefing this committee at all times, not just once, not twice, not 2 times, because it's our duty to protect Nigerian people and also protect you, who is doing the job. Our duty is to protect Nigerian people and also to protect the organization.
Imagine the comment of our colleague. The perception is you are increasing taxes left, right, and center. So both in English, in Yoruba, in Hausa, in Igbo, there must be deliberate attempt to educate and enlighten Nigerians on
these proposed bills and the intention of Mr. President in presenting these bills before the National Assembly, which the chairman have also shed more light on it. So with this, I will give the chairman just 5 minutes to respond to all the comments, questions that were asked, and then we would adjourn this sitting because we have not started deliberating on those bills.
Just in summary, like Distinguished Senator and Governor Dixon has said, the tax reform is not and will not increase or introduce any taxes. If anything, because when we talk about harmonization, it actually reduced the number of taxes that will be paid, reduced the compliance cost by businesses, and also increased the simplicity and efficiency of tax administration in Nigeria. So the intention of Mr. President is to harmonize all the tax laws that we have and rates that we have, so that at the end of the day, Nigeria will be more competitive, and then we will reduce the burden of tax, whether on the citizen or on the corporation that we have here. So we are looking forward to working more with the committee, and then we know that in the couple of the days to come, there is a lot of work from us, both from the committee and from us. The commitment as Senator from the public account chairman said, that I know that for the next few days, the Senate or the National Assembly will be my next office, because when we begin to go through clause by clause, that will always be available and will be forthcoming. But just to allay people's fear, no agency is being matched, no job is being taken away, and no additional taxes is being introduced. It is very clear. We just want to, it is not, when we say we want to modernize the Nigerian economy, we cannot rely on 1939 law of stamp duty to apply to us today. We cannot rely on the disjointed tax laws in different law books that we don't know which one to apply. So the intention of Mr. President is just to harmonize this so we can simplify taxes, and then Nigeria can be better for it. So one of the mandates of the committee set up by Mr. President is to put the tax law and tax administration that we believe will help us to power the growth of Nigeria economy, as put together in Renew Hope agenda of Mr. President. So the rationale behind the new tax law and reform set up by Mr. President is one, harmonization of tax laws. Today, before the reform, we have our tax law scattered in many books or many acts. So you have education tax, you have VAT, you have them severally, and that was the source of multiplicity of taxes that people talk about, because they all have law which must be implemented. So when you have it in your own law that you must collect this type of levy or taxes, you have to do it, and that is what led to multiplicity of taxes. Mr. President, in his wisdom, wants us to harmonize all this, so we have it in one codified book, so that we can remove those multiplicity. The second rationale behind is to drive efficiency and modernization. And I will be specific in this. Today, the tax, stamp duty tax law that we use today is Stamp Duty Act of 1939. Then there was no internet, there was no this kind of technology. So in order to be effective and efficient, we need to bring this to modernization. Another rationale is to simplify laws and ensure synergy across revenue collection agencies. Today, as you may be aware, that even by budget target, you have more than 62 MDA in one way or the other collecting whether levy or taxes. And then this one has increased the cost of collection, one, also the cost of compliance. Because if you are to respond, whether you are business, you are government, to almost 62 kind of agency in one way or the other collecting. Mr. President believes that this would not help, and then in order to harmonize this and make sure that we have a centralized, so to say, or harmonized collection system that will take this burden off us. Not only that, one of the rationale behind this is also to increase efficiency and effectiveness in both government spending and also savings. And this we can see from what we've seen in TSA. Before TSA implementation, we used to have many accounts that government will have money in one bank and be borrowing in another bank. But with simplification of TSA, where you put everything together, it helps government to know and to have that holistic view of wherever the revenue or the savings are. Another rationale behind this is to promote transparency and integrity in revenue collection. Also, we need to update our tax law to represent our current reality. And second to the last is to align with international standard, because we said we want our tax to GDP to be 18%, as it is done in South Africa and other countries. But what are the fundamental changes that made that thing happen in other places that we are copying? So in order to align ourselves in good terms with this international standard, that is one of the reasons. And the last, which is major, is to broaden our tax base. It is Mr. President's interest never to increase tax rates or to introduce another type of taxes. That his focus is just grow the pie. And then when we increase efficiency and effectiveness, so we don't need to increase tax rates, we just need to broaden the tax base. So those are the principles that we'll consider before Mr. President sent this reform to the National Assembly. Now, what are the guiding principles that we have? One is simplicity. We want our law to be simple, that everybody can just read, and neutrality of taxes, meaning that we want people to pay their only fair share of the benefits. As Mr. President has said time without number, that he is interested in taxing the prosperity, not the poverty. He is interested in taxing the fruit, not the seed. He is interested in taxing returns, not investments. So for us to be able to do this, we need to modernize the way we apply this. Also is competitiveness, because we are in a global village. The investment we are looking for, Nigeria is not only destination. They compare us with others. So we need to bring our tax up to date so that we can aid our competitiveness. Another reason is certainty of taxes, because when law is clear, people know what to do, and if they don't do it, they know the consequence. So, and that is what drives the compliance. So those are the guiding principles that we put together. Now, having said that, and then put together in Mr. President's Renew Hope agenda, what are the structure through which this reform is to be carried? And that is why currently the 4 bills you have before the distinguished senators are structured in such a way that I will analyze now. One is Nigeria tax bill. And what is the purpose of this bill is to harmonize all tax laws that we have in different books as it was today, put them together and put them in one book. So it becomes the only source of reference for all tax law that we have in Nigeria. That one will remove multiplicity, it will remove duplication, and then it will increase the certainty and understanding and harmonization of our tax law. The second one is Nigeria Tax Administration Act. This is the bill that will guide the application, interpretation, and administration of tax law that we put in one document. And the third one under the structure is Nigeria Revenue Services. This act bill is proposed to repeal and replace federal inland revenue to Nigerian revenue services. And what and why this? Today, we say federal inland revenue, meaning that we collect money for federal. But if you look at the total collection that we do today, just less than 20% of our collection is actually for federal government. The biggest part that we collect, if you take oil and gas away, is VAT. 85% of this VAT goes to state. So when you say federal inland, the name is not in line with actually what we are doing. When you say inland, by all definition, meaning that you collect money that you have only in Nigeria. But because of this global online charging that we're doing, today we have to open account abroad to actually collect those online charges that is due to us here in Nigeria. Just to harmonize what we do with what we should be called. So that's why the Nigeria Revenue Service Bill sent by Mr. President is just to represent what we do, that we are revenue collection agency of the Federation. And then you have the last one, which is Joint Revenue Board, which is Joint Tax Board. As we all know that we operate in a federation environment, meaning that you have states and you have federal government. And because we are in the same economy, so there is need for us to have a strong joint revenue board where both the states and federal government we have equal representation, and all matters that interrelate between the states and federal government can be amicably resolved in that law. So, to summarize, these are the 4 bills presented in order to carry out Mr. President's agenda. Now, if I am to go to put it into more detail, and then because I want to give time for question, because this is just top-line analysis that we are doing today. I know we will soon do public hearing where we take clause by clause. But just to put it in real structure, so people understand the essence, I will take it one by one. So Nigeria tax bill, what is the scope? The scope is very simple. It's for us to consolidate all type of taxes that we pay today into one book. And what is the objective? Is to eliminate all intended multiple taxation that we have today. And why I explained it that one earlier, because you have different tax law hidden in different books, and this law must be followed. People must follow it, and that is why you have this multiple, because it is very difficult for one agency to check what other agencies do or what is in their law before they implement their law. So we have some unintended multiple taxation that we will remove. That is the objective. And then to make Nigeria economy more competitive, like I've said, that Nigeria is not only destination of investment. People compare where they will get best return of their investment, and they do that. And then what is the structure that we have for that? It contains all the charging provisions that we can have, and then taxes on petroleum operation harmonized into the same chapter. And then the proposed law have different chapters for different type of taxes. And the objective of this is to provide simple, readable, and easily understandable tax rules, and also to promote ease of administration and reduce tax compliance burden, and to promote ease of doing business in Nigeria. That is just summary on Nigeria tax law. And then all the tax incentives, they are all codified to be one. Today you have Pioneer being administered Ministry of Trade, you have Export Incentive Ministry of Finance. So you have them scattered, which has not given us the best benefit that we are looking for. So to prevent the loss of revenue and to protect small businesses, we put all this together in Nigeria tax law. And the same thing goes for personal income tax. All these we put together, and including the employment income, all taxes that we have differently today has been put together into this one, including value added tax. All these we put in the law to also incorporate all the e-invoicing, internet-based charging, all these online charges. We don't have law, including what, by God's grace, the cryptocurrency that is we cannot actually run away from now. Today we don't have any law that we can use to actually charge what we need. All those things, it is what we put together in that one. And the second one is Nigeria Tax Administration Bill. What is the scope? It's consolidating administrative provisions for all taxes, and also to harmonize all tax administration issues, registration, filing, payments, dispute resolution for all relevant revenue. And the objective of this is to harmonize administrative provision for all taxes and streamline tax administration processes across tax jurisdiction for ease of compliance. And then the structure, payment of tax, when should you pay, and then to promote ease of tax payment and also to lessen pressure on forex. Because here also, we've also included that the tax should or will be paid in Naira. And then if you have change. And then you have the other one, which is Joint Revenue Board. Like I explained, we are running a federation system in Nigeria. So there is need for us to have law-backed structure where we can resolve disputes that involve both the states and federal government. And that is the scope and the objective of this. Like I explained, the last one is just change of name in Nigeria Revenue Services. We just want to bring that one, use law to back what we've been doing today. We are doing far, far more than what is for federal government. We focus on federation revenue, and that is the essence, and that is the plan that we have in place. So just to put a stop for the question, so what are the benefits if all these are done? One is enhanced tax efficiency. Two is that compliance will definitely be increased. And why? Because the law is simple, everybody can read it, and then there is no ambiguity. And it also brings the real reality that we have as of today. For example, if you look at personal income tax as to whether people can collect dollar in Nigeria, whereas today, because of the global nature of the world, you can be in Nigeria and be working for Amazon in anywhere. So before, it is illegal to collect that dollar in Nigeria. So all these things that we brought up to actually express and take into consideration the reality of Nigeria today, and also to strengthen institutions and then to actually stimulate the economy. So I will stop here for questions, and then if there is further clarification, because this is just a top-line analysis, and I need to just put it here that this is purely revenue economic stimulant activities. So the intention is not to match any agency to take the job of agency, no, it's just to make the job of all agencies easier. As we all know, that multiplicity of taxes is not what Mr. President wants. Too much burden is not what Mr. President wants. Mr. President wants each of all these agencies to be able to be empowered to be able to deliver their core mandate.